have a think about culture in general, and let's flip whether a learning culture is critical or not to imagine a place with no learning culture. What are sort of the things that you might expect to see? Quite often what we see is we see people who won't do things differently. There is a bit of a malaise around new initiatives, and quite often the thing that gets pushed the most is that's the way we do things around here. So a learning culture creates an environment where we can really be always working on how good our execution is on the job that we do, how our performance is, but we can also create the environment for creativity and innovation. We know that leadership is critical for culture. When it comes to a learning culture, we first need to look at ourselves. From an organisational perspective, I believe that leaders should be ferociously warm. Ferocious warmth leaders are able to create high challenge and high support, and both of those go together to create a learning culture. But first, are we learners? Are we learners who are learning? Are we leaders who are learning? Or are we leaders who have learnt? People want to see us evolving. They want to see us making mistakes, looking at our mistakes with a bit of forensic detail, looking at how we can change and evolve, and bringing that to the table in a way that says, I'm here learning with you. And I show that by being curious, by going out and keeping my head up around what's going on beyond my organisation, and creating a space where I never believe I've got all the answers. When thinking about building a learning culture in your organisation, I suggest thinking about building capacity in three major components. The first one is a collective growth mindset. We often talk about growth mindset, a concept that was brought together by Professor Carol Dweck. And growth mindset is about our ability to be individual learners, to persevere, to be challenged, to step out of our comfort zone. A collective growth mindset is when we can do that as a team, and it's harder to do because all of a sudden our inner voice starts getting in the way, our imposter syndrome, the one that says I need to know everything in front of my peers or in front of my boss. Creating a collective growth mindset is such an interesting conversation to have with your teams. In strong learning cultures, some of the outcomes that you will experience are ones of less resistance. Because people are willing to step out of their comfort zones and move into their learning zone, there is an openness to trying new things, to looking at what works and what doesn't work, to going into a space of innovation and creativity. It allows us to get momentum with what we're trying to achieve because people have the right conversations. The biggest thing that stops us in any culture from moving forward is a lack of conversation around the right things. So this environment of a learning culture results in better problem solving because we're open with each other around what's working and what's not. It allows us to bring our genius to the table. And isn't it important that we hear from people's genius?